Oh, Monster Hunter, it's probably my game of the generation. I have absolutely had just a blast with this game. I first played it, I think when it came out, I played it originally on the Xbox One. Good gosh, it had some god-awful load times, like 90 seconds or some ridiculous stuff. But later on, we went back and I got it again with my friend Eddie, and we got it on PC. That's the place to play it. And even though the PC version came out like a year later, and for a long time the content was actually behind, you know, it was just worked really well. Frames rate was great. Load time was down to like the seconds, and this kind of more or less became like my 2020 pandemic game. Is like this is what we would play. You know, you're kind of cooped up on your days off, and so it's like, man, I wanted something to play. I want to play online games with my friends, and it became Monster Hunter was the jam, and I've got somewhere around 400 hours in it right now, and probably gonna have 100 more. And the Iceborne expansion just added so much to it, and it's kind of like, I'm thinking of an example of a games as a service game done right, where there is extra monetization, but it's like on pendants and stuff like that. There's ways that they do want you to buy, and the whale people try to get the whale people's money, but they didn't make all of the armors and costumes and stuff. That's not all behind paywalls. You have to go and you got to kill the damn monsters to get it, and it's just so damn fun. And most of the monster fights, they take like 20 and 30 minutes when you suck, but you can get them down. You get the times down as you get better and better. And then, you know, you play them over and over again. And I don't, what is there about? I think there's like 35 monsters. I'm not sure exactly how many they are. And it's kind of like a boss rush where, you know, you're kind of fighting bosses over and over and over again. But this game does so much better at pacing that kind of stuff out as opposed to something like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or Fury, which is an indie game. Because in between killing the monsters, you're collecting the prints, or you're collecting goodies, or you're crafting stuff, and all of this stuff helps pace out so it becomes not like it's just about the monster fighting all the time, because that can get old. And because they managed to get this kind of game balance like this here, and you just want one more. You just want one more, man. If I just gotta kill freaking Rathian one more time, I gotta get his claw. I need his claw, and it's like an 8% drop. And like, oh well, we're just gonna keep doing it till we get it. And it's just leads to this thing where you're constantly getting better gear. And then when your actual gear gets up to the cap or whatever, you're at the topest of where the game was, as far as, you know, whatever update it is. Then you could go get what's basically the transmog, which is called layered armor. And so you could get all of the armor again, and you could wear it on top of the armor you got right now. So the stats don't change, but the cosmetic effects change. And it has this nice little checklist where you can go through and check down each layered armor as you go. And it's like, man, this is so damn fun just to collect all this stuff. And it keeps you playing over and over again. After you've kind of done most of the regular content, just getting all the layered armor is just fun as shit in the Guiding Lands. And then I really also like the weapons, although I've only ever used really hammer. I've dabbled a couple of the other ones. There's a slow and methodical pace to the weapons. It's not, you just not, well, unless you're dual blades or maybe bow, you're not just spamming attacks. You need to plan that shit out. You need to plan that shit out a lot. And the combos and stuff you do, it reminds me more of a fighting game, or like a more complicated Dark Souls than some just basic hack slashy. So you need to plan your attacks, you need to dodge the monster's attacks. And it's in between that and with this awesome gear setup where you're adding skills onto your gear and bits and pieces, it makes you kind of make some diverse builds. And, you know, there's always the meta, which is just all offense, but I'm not a good enough player to hit 400 hours and just sit there and never get hit. And mainly I play a multiplayer anyway, where the monsters kind of ping pongs back and forth. And so it's just real important to me just to have a set that I'm a comfortable set. So earplugs and things like that is what I like to use. And compared this to something like freaking Anthem or the Avengers, which seem to be just more about making a in-game, you know, games as service more about selling you season passes or some shit, and then they just forgot about the game part. Monster Hunter, as a world, as a games as service game, is, you know, it's Monster Hunter first, and then that's the extra stuff added on, and it just comes off so much better. It doesn't feel like it's fucking you over, and it feels like it's a complete game day one. And so there's a couple of things that normally I would be opposed to, but they just managed to suck me in. One of the things is kind of like this called festival events or limited time events, which is very games of service-y shit, because it's like, you got to get in here and here. This is only when this shit's available. You got to jump in and play. And every season, or like, you know, about 4 or 5 times a year, they'll have these big seasonal event things where they add a bunch of events that you could only get to at a certain period of time. So you'll have like 2 weeks where they're going to unlock all of these extra missions, and then so you have to play through, and you know, it kind of encourages people to group in around this time to get all the goodies, to get the layered events, to get the, you know, the crazy shit like Ryu's costumes and stuff like that. You got to play at a certain time, and you know what? I found myself being excited, being hyped for when these things come out. So it's like, so I could, you know, work on something I haven't been able to do yet, or something that was causing me trouble before, or I've got better gear now and I could go through it. Or it's like, oh man, Ryu's finally out for PC. I gotta get him, even though I'm probably not even going to play as the Ryu costume very much. It's like, I gotta have it on my checklist. And so you're just sitting there compulsively playing when these events are out. And there's one out right now. It's the last event. It's the Halloween festival. So I'm sitting there to put like 20 something hours in over a couple days, freaking losing my mind. And I should be opposed to it on principle. I should be opposed to it, but they haven't really, you know, begged me for extra money. It doesn't feel like the game's begging me for money, what you see on so many other games. And it's a fine line that Capcom on this one has been able to do right, and hopefully this is something they've learned, because Monster Hunter World is by far their highest selling game ever. It's even beaten Street Fighter 2 and Resident Evil 5. It's beat all that shit. And so hopefully going forward they'll continue this part where, you know, you sell an expansion or something to the game and people's gonna be hyped to play it. You don't sell them freaking battle passes and season passes. You don't charge $5 for a damn costume. Although I think there is at least one that they do that. I think there's like a pre-order layered armor that they do that on, but they haven't really done that anywhere else besides the pendants. So I feel like I'm kind of an apologist in some way, but man, I really was liking this game, and we're gonna give it 2 paws way up. Kitty loves the minutia of the gameplay, the fighting stuff. Even some of these sort of more basic movesets like Great Sword, there's a lot of skill involved, and so there's like a high skill ceiling, but you can also kind of like die your way through it, a lot of it, or at least to the very end. And it feels so good when you pull off these big hits and you do everything right. Now, Brian, we're also giving it a paw up because, you know, gotta collect all the layered shit, man. Gotta get Sakura, all right? Gotta get freaking Gary. We gotta get Gary, man. So you're like, I'm looking for Witch's to work, and you gotta get all this shit. I don't know, not gonna use it, but you need it because there's a checklist. Gotta check it all off. And dude, Monster Hunter World 2, whatever the hell they're gonna call it, whenever that comes out in a couple years, it will be probably the most hyped thing for the PS5, Xbox Series X generation, in my opinion. And so I've had a hell of a lot of fun with this game, and I highly recommend it. Just the vanilla world part should be pretty cheap. I don't think that's like $30 these days. You should definitely give it a try if you never played a Monster Hunter game. Now, they've got a pretty big learning curve because they play kind of unique to themselves. The closest gameplay I thought, comparing it to, was Dark Souls, but it's nowhere near Dark Souls. In fact, it seems like Dark Souls more copies the methodical pace of this game as opposed to the other way around. And I can't get by without noticing it because my friend Chad quit because of the unskippable damn cutscenes, which is probably the biggest flaw of this game. Capcom was so hyped over their damn, you know, next generation HD Monster Hunter graphics, because it's normally on 3DS or PSP or something. And so they made these unskippable cutscenes, and that includes the ending game when you actually beat the game and you've got the ending credits and they're singing some stupid Japanese song or whatever the hell it is. You can't skip that shit either. It's like you're pressing start, select all the buttons, nothing's working. But other than that, it's pretty good. And once you get through the cutscene, normally when you fight a new monster. And you have to do this as a single player. So if you had a 4-player group and you're going through the story, that you actually have to go do the cutscene part as a single player, which is stupid. So what normally would happen is you join in with your friends, you play the level individually, you get to the cutscene, and then you leave out of your game and you'll join your friend's game. That's the way it usually end up happening to us, but it was obnoxious. It's annoying that you can't skip the cutscenes. I know why they did it, because they spend a lot of time and money on the cutscenes, and in multiplayer games, no one ever looks at the damn cutscenes. You just skip past that shit. But yeah, it was a dumb decision on their part, and they never took it, got rid of it. You should be able to play the damn story with the new players that have to do the cutscenes, but whatever. It's still, at the end of the day, kind of minor, because you see the cutscene the first time you fight the monster, and you end up fighting it 20 more times anyway, because you're looking for gear, or it's a part of something else, event or something. But if you have not played this game, it's probably my game of the generation, so you need to check it out.